Welcome to Time to Press Pause, a podcast for CEOs by CEOs. I'm your host, Ellen Williams, CEO of The Salient Strategist, and today I'm speaking with Carol Silva Moralez. Carol is President and CEO of Upskill NWA, a nationally recognized sectoral-based workforce development program. As a successful executive, she's held leadership roles at Walmart and Serve2Perform. Carol has received state and regional recognition, including Arkansas Money and Politics 2024 C-Suite Award and the Northwest Arkansas Business Journal's 2020 C-Suite Award. Welcome, Carol. It's so great to have you here today on Time to Press Pause.
Ellen, it's such a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
You and I have been back and forth on LinkedIn, and I love what you're doing, and I'm very happy to be meeting you in person, sort of, right? Right, face to face at least. And I'm very eager to hear your story of when you needed to press pause.
It's lovely to meet you, Ellen. I'll tell you, probably one of the key learnings I've had in this role as CEO is that I'm a human like a lot of people,
Hopefully like all people.
Yeah, right, like all people. Maybe we all have varying degrees of responsibility, but we're all real people. And so my moment came after actually spending about 25 years in a previous career. I had been through a number of changes. When you're in leadership roles and retail, you can imagine the challenges come from everywhere. But I really wasn't prepared for the personal challenges I was going to face all at the same time, seemingly. So when I pressed pause, it was because three things were happening within a relatively short period of time. I lost my mother to cancer. She'd been diagnosed with cancer and had an 18-month journey in her cancer treatment. Then I was laid off from my 25-year career. So I had the loss of my identity, the loss of my profession. Everything that I had known for the last 25 years was gone in a 15-minute conversation. I also lost my father unexpectedly to a complication with surgery. Just saying those words can sound surreal, Ellen. And when you're in the midst of it, it's even more unbelievable. And so I found, and I didn't even realize that I was spiraling into this really deep place. I had been so used to compartmentalizing things and just pushing through, and it's showtime. You walk through the doors and you're on, and nobody needs to know that things are happening in your life. You just need to be everything to everyone. That's how I felt. But the realization came in a conversation I had with my sister. I was on the phone, and apparently the way that I was talking to her alarmed her, and she said, "Wait, time out. Like, you're not yourself. The way you're talking about these things is unlike you. Let's reframe some things." She said, "We're going to look at this period of unemployment as fun employment." I was kind of taken aback, one, by hearing the reality of somebody else's assessment of what they thought about me in terms of how I was doing. But then to consider that this period was fun employment, she said, "I want you to do this. I want you to write down 10 things that you could never do before because you were working all the time. And I want you to hold yourself accountable to doing those 10 things. So do a journal, take photos." And I actually have a video journal on my phone. And I put I put 10 different things, and I started checking them off. I wanted to go to another town to have lunch with one of my friends. I mean, I could never do that while I was working because lunch had to be really close, and I could get there in 5 or 10 minutes and then get back. But no, this was stuff that I could actually do. I started going on field trips with my son and went to go visit caverns, and it was just amazing. And Ellen, I found my joy again. because I needed to change my mindset on how I viewed this loss of insert mom, dad, career, identity. No, I knew exactly who I was. I just wasn't able to articulate that value proposition because I was so lost in the grief of losing everything. But it was just that conversation with her to just boop, flip the switch. And so I started doing that. Then my friend reached out and said, I have an opportunity here. I'm sure you're getting lots of interviews. Don't move away from Arkansas. Try something new instead. And so that kind of served as a launch pad for my career as Upskill NWA's president and CEO.
That was a fabulous story. Thank you so much for sharing such a personal, heartfelt story. I want to touch on a couple things. So I also had my mother. I lost my mother to cancer. I definitely know that path as well. But you said a couple things that really resonated with me. You said, it's showtime. And that's the way you feel like when you have a high level of responsibility. Everything else sort of has to fall away and you have to emerge the way people expect you to. And we are human, and I love that you started there. We're all human. CEO doesn't mean you don't have all the other elements of your life. So the whole everything to everyone is a common message, and I think it's one that needs to be addressed, because who can be everything to everyone?
That's exactly right, Ellen. And here's what I would also say in terms of this realization. It is wonderful to be in an organization that recognizes that you learn. Like the first year, you're not supposed to come in here and all of a sudden you're a rock star CEO, top whatever of whatever. You have to be given some grace and coaching to be able to learn, kind of lean into this role, be all into this role. I also, to go with what you said, there's an expectation sometimes, not in my organization, but definitely in the other women CEOs that I mentor, that you're supposed to separate those things. That being a CEO is being everything to everyone. It comes with a kind of unwritten rule of knowing the answers. You know what to do in every situation. But that's not the case. I am the best version of myself. And Upskill is the best place to work because we're all human. I tell these stories to the ladies who work with me because we're all human and we need help sometimes. We got to press pause.
Yeah, and that's the key, right? If you go on all cylinders all the time, in the end, it doesn't really benefit anyone. The CEO is going to benefit the least from being on all cylinders because they're the ones who are going to burn out. And then they're really not going to be good for anyone. I do want to go back also to your fun employment. I really love that.
Awesome.
That's
Yeah.
the one thing I've learned from these interviews is shifting your mind, your mindset
Mhm.
is so important. And unemployment really is a bummer,
Mhm.
especially when it's unexpected.
Yes.
And that's happened to me in the past as well. And then you spiral a little bit. You're like, well, what happened and why? But to
Yes.
flip that around, and it's great that during your fun employment, your mindset of, oh, look at all the time I have. I'm going to do all these things that I've never been able to do. An opportunity came to you.
It was, credit my sister who had also been through a similar experience. I also love Ellen, this personal accountability that she charged me with. Write it down, keep track of these things, journal, whatever fits for you, but just do it. Do it and don't stop till you've done your 10 things. And she could have said 12.
Mhm.
It's just 10 probably was really easy, and it was. And you should see the pictures from that time. I'm just, my smile is from here to here. I mean, how could I be smiling when I just lost my 25-year career? And yet I was, because my soul was being recharged. This time to press pause didn't mean that activity stopped. It didn't mean that life stopped. It didn't mean that responsibilities stopped. It did mean that it was time to stop and think and be present in the moments and in those interactions and be something for others, serve others, but put my heart and soul into this thing. And it was fantastic. You could tell I still glow at just sharing those thoughts. And that was in 2019, right before COVID hit. So
Yeah,
it was,
that was a difficult time for
yes.
everyone, even not going through what you're talking about going through. And it does shine through. It's in your expression, it's in your smile, it's in your voice. We can hear it. And I have no doubt, and you've said it more than once, I found my joy. So I have no doubt, seeing you and hearing you, that you carry that with you,
Thank you, Ellen.
that it's definitely the spark of what you're doing now. So I'm curious, are you still journaling?
I am, although I'm in a nifty new tool that I journal in, and it's my remarkable tablet. So
I love the remarkable.
I'm too, I'm such a huge fan. And as
I
speaking as somebody who had journals, even in my professional life, every client had a journal. And this has replaced all of that. I'm super happy doodling around. So I'm a huge fan.
I am too. I can't tell you how many people I've influenced to get their own.
Oh,
We got to be up to 15 people now have
awesome.
gotten
It's a
their own,
great
just watching me
CEO
use
tool.
mine. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
great
I do love
leadership
it.
tool. I absolutely love it.
That's I love that. That's a great piece of advice. Just journaling in its own right, but using that tool as a leadership tool to have everything in one place and to continue to journal. So, what advice do you have for CEOs when they should identify the time to press pause?
Wow, that's such a great question, Ellen. And I've thought about what it took for me. Not everybody's going to be faced with those particular or specific situations, but there is a time I can even look at within my role as the president and CEO of Upskill, where there are these big changes in the organization that require quiet time. I often say to my own team members, you get a better me if I can stop and think. So while the role requires an all-in approach, which, go, 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 I'm definitely action oriented. I'm definitely somebody who gets things done. But I also recognize that I'm much more valuable to the organization if I can have time to think. And how that transitions or what that looks like in the life of Carol is that on my calendar, which I use, it is another one of those critical tools. You can put remarkable tablet, you can put calendar in there. I used to be the type of person, Ellen, that would want to block out every bit of time. Okay, I'm going to take 45 minutes for this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I do that, but I do that very differently. What happens in that block of time is very different. So my block of time may be strategic planning, maybe budget optimization, maybe. So I use it, but so I can think about things. I also want to recommend that you put others in that thinking circle. In my organization, and it doesn't matter what role we have, everybody's voice matters. I've even written that into the mission and vision and values of Upskill. You have to hear from the people that are doing the work because they know firsthand what a policy change might require of them. They have some very specific opinions about additional tasks that they're going to be asked to do. They have some specific opinions on any process changes that are occurring within the organization. They also love to be involved. Not only do they advocate for Upskill NWA participants, but they advocate for themselves. I mean, my gosh, don't we all want to work in a place that cares about you and it cares about your own personal development, that wants to make you the best version of yourself, even if that means you're going to work for somebody else? So I think combined in all of that, Ellen, I would say, serving and having this heart to serve is the biggest piece of advice. Sometimes you got to serve yourself. Oftentimes we serve other people, but it requires time and it requires intentionality to do it, the right way, in a way that everybody's thriving.
Absolutely. Time and intention.
Yes.
I think that's key. And I really appreciate that you have that written into your mission and your vision, that everyone has a voice and everyone gets heard. I think that's extremely valuable and really wonderful advice. I don't know that I've ever read a mission statement. Mostly it's outward, what we can help our customers with.
And
So
well,
to
it's
have
in our
one,
values. It's in how we show up every single day. We advocate for others. We advocate for ourselves. We lift our voices and offer suggestions and feedback. And I make time for those things. So when we're in our team meetings, we go around the room. What's going on with you? How are things going? How is the family? Is there anything that we need to know about? Is there what's keeping you up at night kind of things? So it's very important. That's the time and intentionality piece that you were talking about, Ellen.
it sounds like a very healthy working environment. And I guess that's the best advice of all. Yes.
It is.
Carol, thank you so much for your wonderful story and your great advice.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been my honor.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Time to Press Pause.
To learn more about Carol Silva Moralez, go to upskillnwa.com.
To learn more about me, go to thesalientstrategist.com. And be sure to join us again wherever you listen to your podcasts.